Hope everybody enjoyed the break, got some snacks, hydration, and checked out some of the great exhibits. We are ready to proceed with our next presentation. So it's my pleasure to introduce Chao Yu. Chao is with the company of LoopX, and his presentation is called Advancements in Collision Avoidance Technologies for Underground Mining Safety. So Chao is the founder and CEO of LoopX, a Waterloo/Sudbury-based startup specializing in advanced AI and robotic solutions to enhance safety and efficiency in the mining industry. Before founding LoopX, Chao spent nearly a decade at General Motors in the US and China, where he led the control system engineering team for electric and autonomous vehicles. He holds a PhD in autonomous driving and a Master of Business, Entrepreneurship, and Technology from the University of Waterloo. So let's take a moment to welcome Chao.
All right. Thank you. Thanks for your time. It's my pleasure to be here to talk about the latest advancement to make mining safer. My name is Chao Yu, Steve introduced. I'm the founder and CEO of LoopX. LoopX actually is a startup, and we actually are building next generation collision avoidance system, leverage the latest progress of AI and robotics. And we are trying that solution with cementation mining, Wale base metal, BHP, Agnico Eagle, and Eldorado Gold. And we actually we believe that this is the future. I want to share that knowledge. For this presentation, actually, it is not a sales pitch. I just want to share some knowledge because there's too many new technology. In this presentation, I will first introduce the new challenges, especially for deep mining, deep underground mine. And then I talk about the whole structure for mining safe through the different levels of CAS, collision avoidance system, and then share about our latest testing with different kind of CAS technology. Finally, some insight for future. So as you guys know that mines are moving deeper and deeper as ore close to surface become increasingly rare after years of excavation. And new challenges actually emerge for deep underground mines. First is confined area, is dark, dusty. Some mines are quite dusty. So this actually is a new challenge. Actually, it also like aligned with statistics. Some fatality statistics here. You can see the U.S. fatality rate actually in the past 50 years. You can see generally it's dropping. But you can see that it runs to the limit. And some existing solutions, either through better education or better training or like a stricter safety regulation, makes this fatality rate drops. But mechanical equipment actually brings new challenges. As you can see, the report from Workplace Safety North, the top 10 risks for underground mining are all related to vehicles. Big vehicle crash, small vehicle crash pedestrian, and vehicle crash with the infrastructures. On one hand, mechanized equipment make mining safer, but on the other hand, mechanized equipment is a new risk. The latest 5 years fatality curve is showing a slightly increase. I think we need to figure out a better way, more effective way to achieve zero fatality. So EMERS actually is an organization that kind of like provide a guideline to make mining safer. So you probably understand this is a structure, more like a guideline. And actually, it provides a very good, is a guideline for mining operators to talk at the same page, talk the same language. So initially from level 1 to level 9, start from mine design, which takes years, to collision avoidance system, which takes like almost real-time intervention. But the case is we need a whole structure, not just technology. Technology is just a part. And here in this structure, I would suggest to flip it, because from level 1 to level 6 actually is a foundation through through design, through optimization of the operation, through training. Actually, we do need a solid foundation to make sure the technology works. And, but my presentation will focus on the level 7 to level 9 CAS. Actually, level 7, you probably know, is more like a camera system, better visibility through like a camera view. It reduces the blind spot of the huge machines. And it comes to level 8, which is not only the camera view, but also the warning, like fatigue warning or proximity warning. It is the result of the camera view. And then when it comes to level 9, actually it's not the passive system, it's the active system that slow down and brake or even steering that control the vehicle. And then in future, it will be like gradually to become SAE standard, which is a semi-autonomous and fully autonomous system. But here I want to just talk about CAS. So next, I will talk about different type of CAS technology. I divided it into two big categories. The first category is RF-based, radio frequency-based. So radio frequency-based system, how it works? Generally, you mount a radio frequency generator antenna on the machine, maybe multiple antennas. And then wear a tag, either a wearable tag powered by battery in a pocket or integrated tag into a cab lamp. And then when the pedestrian is approaching to a vehicle approaching a pedestrian, it detects each other through the radio frequency. So this system actually is a relatively old system. Actually, you see a lot of CAS systems are based on different radio frequency technology. Either BLE, Bluetooth energy, or electromagnetic. These two types of technology actually is lower power, lower cost, but shorter range. So it has benefit, also has drawbacks. So usually it's good, it's maybe acceptable for level 7 CAS, which is a warning system, but I don't believe it's sufficient for level 9 CAS, because level 9 CAS you need to control the vehicle and you need to slow down, stop. So the distance, the power actually is not sufficient. And then it comes to a new technology like RFID, UWB, or Wi-Fi. The power increased, cost increased, also distance increased. But also there's drawbacks for RFID. Actually, the distance actually see around the corner is still like a short, 5 meters. We test almost every type of technology. And this is the data that based on our testing, not just like the GPT data. Actually, the latest technology like UWB, ultra wideband, actually it's good because it has that long distance, and also it can calculate the location, the distance precisely through the triangular calculation. You mount two UWB antennas, one UWB tag, you can calculate through a triangle. You can know the exact distance, but the drawbacks is it leads complex calibration on multiple antennas on the machine. And also the cost is relatively higher for UWB, but still like it represents the future. Wi-Fi tag is a cost-effective way. So Wi-Fi also can be used for communication, for data sharing, but it can be also used for like proximity detection based on the signal strengths. So, but overall, different technology have different pros and cons. And one significant challenge for our technology is the weakest part is the pedestrian. It's hard to ensure that pedestrian always have a functional tag. I've heard the joke. You need 4 tags. The minor will get the first one lost, get the second one damaged, get the third one stolen, and then only the last one may work, but sometimes they run out of power, and you totally lose that detection. So yeah, so that is that human nature. That's why there's some new technology. Actually, we call the sensor-based. So sensor-based technology covers different sensors. So basically, it leads the sensor to be mounted properly on mobile equipment. It's more like the camera that you have on your backup camera or your passenger vehicle. It detects the pedestrian vehicles. Also, it can apply AI, artificial intelligence, to understand the type of objects, and can also leverage LiDAR to know the distance. So generally, it covers different cameras. So RGB camera is quite common, and the cost is quite low, but the distance is good, 30 meters. Infrared camera is better way since it's ready for underground mining, as RGB camera has a significant challenge to detect the pedestrian vehicle in the underground environment because of glare. And it requires the light condition be well conditioned. And that is hard, and then when it comes to infrared camera, it combines infrared light and camera into one. So it's not that prone to environmental light, but the distance is shorter. So you probably see this infrared camera for your backup camera for the mining equipment. And then the latest progress, thermal camera, I believe it will be a game changer for underground mine because it not detected the vision profile, it detected the thermal radiation. It measures the temperature. It's really good for pedestrian vehicle hotspots. Those are like objects detection. But the problem is it loses the context, loses the details. So different cameras, different pros and cons. Cost is higher for thermal camera. Radar is a sensor that in ADAS system a lot for like cruise control, for example. It works for open environment, but it has significant challenge for confined tunnel because the noise is basically based on the radio minimum wave. Actually, the signal bounce and cause a lot of noise to address. That usually cause false alarm. And also another challenge, it cannot detect stationary pedestrian reliably because the reflection for stationary pedestrian is quite weak for radar to identify. It's good to detect mobile equipment because of Doppler effect. That is the radar. LiDAR actually is becoming more and more popular because of survey, because of drone applications, mapping, and it's good for distance detection and good for point cloud mapping. But the problem is dust causes noise for LiDAR, and definitely it's more complex. But overall, all those vehicle sensors, you can also see that they have pros and cons. One significant challenge for vehicle sensor is common challenge. It can only detect obstacles in the line of sight of the sensor. Every sensor has a field of view, either 100 degree or 360 degree. But if the pedestrian vehicle is around the corner, it cannot detect it. That is what alpha-based technology can detect. So
Pedestrian nearby.
I will show you some testing we did.
Pedestrian ahead.
For this video, we compared the camera, AI, LiDAR, and the tag. Actually, we use the UW tag. So left-hand side, you can see camera, LiDAR combined. Camera detects the pedestrian, LiDAR detects the distance location. When combined, you know exactly where it is. And on the right hand side, you can see the UWB signal, where I wear that in my cab lamp. And then it comes this
Pedestrian
like
nearby.
Safety bay, for example. Actually, LiDAR camera cannot see it, but the tag can see it, but still you can see the signal bounce. You probably not be able to know exactly where it is. So that is the comparison.
Pedestrian ahead.
Next, we compared, this is look at underground mine testing. We compared the thermal camera AI and the traditional camera. You can see, actually, I want to highlight this first test. Actually, it's, can you? I haven't finished. Sorry. It has significant delay. Okay, cool. Yes, so here I want to highlight the unique benefit of thermal camera. In this case, it's dust. Dust is really a challenge for camera system, even for LiDAR. And a lot of mines are quite dusty, like potash mine, salt mine, quite dusty. Some hard rock mines not that dusty, but this challenge actually can be addressed through thermal camera, we believe. And here in this case, we generate dust through fire distinguisher. Here you can see how it works. The AI actually also applied, so it can see through dust, even smoke for a mine rescue is good application, I believe. In this case, glare is significant challenge for traditional camera for safety detection. You can see in this case, naked eye even cannot see it clearly, but with this custom camera, you can see through the glare. It can also definitely train the model with the data. You really know pedestrian is laying down, like falling down, a risk, or like count the pedestrian in the danger zone. Potentially, it can also inspect the mine through, like you can see the water, you can see the water pipe wiring, which is hot, water which is cold, black, and that is based on the thermal radiation. Quite long distance, over 30 meters, is fog-free, which is a challenge for Canadian mine, northern mine in Canada. Fog is a significant challenge. Almost every backup camera get foggy in northern mines because the temperature difference when it travels from surface to underground, temperature difference. But this sensor actually has self-heating feature. It's always clear. Surface also replace, detect every vehicle, trucks, loaders. So that generally is how this two type of sensors works. And next slide, I will talk about some future trends, I believe. So this may have some bias, but just you can justify it. So first trend, we believe, as mines moves to electric, and the electric vehicle actually is controlled by computers. And this actually makes level like us easier, much easier. So also electric vehicles actually, yes, it reduces the emission, but also increase, I believe it has unique safety risk. First, it's quiet, it's silent. And people coming to an electric vehicle, you may not be aware that electric vehicle is coming. And also the torque, the motor torque is instant, it's much faster. So this actually, the acceleration is faster. So these two challenges actually brings new safety risk for electric vehicles. When I started my work with General Motors, initially in 2012, General Motors, the first generation electric vehicles, and then they have this challenge. And then gradually regulation required every electric vehicle has that acoustic warning for pedestrian if the vehicle is low speed. I believe this applies, this is a good solution. And then also it enables cars to be ready for level 9, especially level 9. Almost every autonomous vehicle on the market, you can see, is all based on electric vehicles. Because control electric vehicle is much easier compared with controlling a hydraulic, diesel vehicle. It's already computer-based. So gradually, I believe that more and more vehicles will be electric, and more and more vehicles will be ready for level like us. Next, hybrid cars. So as I talked, so you can see there's no single sensor that applies all mines or all challenges. So we believe that combine the radio-based technology with the vehicle sensor technology will be a better fit, will be more redundant, and also its safety is a comprehensive way. So in this case, we believe, especially when it comes to level like us, it's not just a warning. For a warning system, yes, you can warn through a proximity detection, but when it comes to stop the machine, for example, in this case, if the pedestrian is in the safety bay, it's not on the path of the vehicle, and then you should not stop the vehicle because it's not on the path. If you stop the vehicle, and actually, yes, it's safe, but you jeopardize the production. That is the case in South Africa. South Africa actually require level like us. I traveled to South Africa a few times last year to learn their challenge, their technology, and the learning from that country is, when it comes to level 7 to level like us, existing solutions based on the tax only is not sufficient to level like us. Because frequent stoppage actually jeopardize production, almost 30% production loss for some mining operators in South Africa because of adoption of level like us with the existing technology. So there must be some new ways to address this challenge. And we believe that hybrid cars or compilation is a better way. It's more like a human. You hear something nearby through a radio, through hearing. Yes, you are alert, but the only way you stop, you react is you can see it. You can see where it is, what it is, and that is the most reasonable reaction, not just you hear it. Next, from CAS to SaaS. So actually, when we start from the first generation CAS system, we learned that it mainly used for detection. What it means? Detection is you detect the vehicle, you detect the pedestrian, you detect the proximity. But gradually, we learned that there's some new challenges we face. One example, if a loader is approaching to a dump truck in a dumping point, that is usually designed for dumping. That interaction usually is acceptable. And if there's a warning triggered, usually that's a false alarm, noisy. But how to differentiate that situation? Then it requires perception, not just detection. You need a system to understand the context, understand that is a truck, the loader interact, that is a dumping point. The loader is approaching to truck from using through the driving forward, not driving reverse. And that is a designed interaction, not like a Toyota coming to a truck. That is potential risk of safety, collision. So understand the context through perception is the next generation CAS need to be able to do. So it's more like a human way. Also, mining companies not only need a safety system, but also not jeopardize production. If you jeopardize production, gradually make the return of the system becomes lower, and gradually the system doesn't work actually. So gradually we learned that mine operators require that a system, yes, you can do safety, collision avoidance, you can do this, you can do that, gradually into one system. Okay, one single system cover both collision detection, geolocation tracking, and production monitoring into one. This is kind of like a cell phone. 20 years ago, Nokia dominated the functional phone, which only provides communication, which is similar like collision avoidance, safety is the basic feature. And then Apple came. It builds a smartphone, not only for communication, but also multiple features into one phone and beat Nokia. Right now, we are into this point. It is coming. iPhone moment is coming. So that concludes my slide. Actually, in this slide, I reviewed the current CAS technology, cover both RF-based and vehicle sensor-based. And I also have shared some my insight for future, cover both, level 7 to level 9 CAS. And also shared my insight to combine the different technology into one. And also, I believe that AI is the key to make the sensors data fusion, and it is available now. It's more like a GPT moment. Actually, GPT actually become more and more intelligent. It can process not only text but also video, image into one. So vision, language, it becomes available. Technology is now ready for the next generation CAS. And the CAS becomes not just a CAS for safety, but also beyond CAS to situational awareness. So for this is my insight, and hopefully we can work together to test it. And for any questions or any further discussion to see how LoopX working on this way, you're welcome to check out our booth outside. Thank you.
Thank you, Chow, for that. That was great. Like you mentioned, he's in booth number 10. So if you've got any specific questions for Chow, go check him out over lunch break and talk to him. I'll give a kind of a personal testament that we've been utilizing the LoopX system at a few different properties now in Canada and the US, and very, very powerful stuff. And the team's doing a great job and responsive. But this is the type of thing that's going to prevent fatalities in our industry, right? So we got to work with technology, not fight it. Is it going to be perfect right off the bat? Absolutely not, but it's coming a long way quickly. So for anybody, the collision avoidance systems, I think, is one of the top things that we can do to prevent fatalities. So it's with pleasure that I'm going to introduce our next speaker, who is Gus Miner of Sofvie, and his presentation is titled The Role of Culture and Leadership. So Gus is a young tech entrepreneur. He spent 15 years, I don't know about young, but he spent 15 years working on commercial networks. He then transitioned to the mining sector for a decade, starting with hands-on experience to later into the role of project superintendent in underground projects. He is now the COO of Sofvie Inc. So let's all please welcome Gus to the stage.
Thanks a lot, Steve. We're always young at heart, you know?
Yeah, was
You gotta
that
keep it,
typo?
you gotta keep it there. No, thanks a lot. And just a couple of housekeeping things. So I had surgery just recently, so I'm very fortunate that I'm able to present today. So if I just lay down, nothing's wrong with me. I'm not fainting. I'm probably just taking a rest from that. But the other thing is that I have a co-presenter today for the presentation. And originally it was supposed to be Stephen the Groot, but because of multiple engagements and our, our amazing flight schedules that come into Sudbury, it was difficult to make the timing happen. So we've got Chris Bamberger that's going to be joining us today to talk about the perspective that comes from the Brivia learnings. And then we'll dive right in. And you can take it away.
Good to go. Thanks, Gus. Thanks, everyone. Those of you here yesterday recognized me of the guy that was up on the stand, and it looks like what happened at the end was great. I felt really good going home, not being convicted. Thank you. So yes, as Gus said, Steve's a great friend and colleague, and we've been doing a lot of work together with Brivia Consulting. So I'll be representing Steve today. So good morning. Honored to be here with many of the health and safety leaders here, driving our mining industry forward. Today I want to share some leadership principles that go beyond basically the basics of policies, procedures, training, standards, all those things that we do really well, and they definitely help to create safer workplaces for everyone. These ideas come from a body of research and experience that aligns deeply with the real challenges we face daily in mining. Before we dive in, though, I'd like to ask you, reflect on a moment when you had the best team ever, when you were on the best team ever, or when you worked for the best leader ever. I just want to take a moment to think about that. If you don't have one, I apologize. Might want to do something differently, but I sure hope that people have that, and I hope they're recent. Tell me, what are some of the things that made that experience for you so powerful? Don't be shy. Compassion. Greatest team experience. Go ahead. Trust. Love it. Trust. What else? Team leader. Great leadership. Absolutely. Anybody else? Collaboration. I love that. Clear direction, clear communication. Anybody else? What's that? Having the support, being supported, yes. Engagement, commitment. You've hit it all. Yes. Yes. Was it the way that people supported you and each other? Absolutely. Was it a clear sense of purpose that everyone shared? Absolutely. Maybe simply someone said trust, right? Could raise a concern, offer an idea, admit when something went wrong, and not be fearful of judgment. So thank you. So again, I mentioned what we have: robust training, policies, procedures, legislation, right? That's the minimum expectations. Policies and procedures, they don't create proud, high-performing teams, do they? They don't build deep trust. I want to share some leadership principles that go beyond that. Principles that build workplaces where people aren't just safe, but they're proud to belong. So when we think about these standout experiences, we notice something important. They didn't just happen by accident. and certain conditions exist. If you can change the screen, Gus, thank you. We call them the three great states, and some of you have heard of this because I recognize some of you in the audience that have been through the Brivia training. Safe, significant, and situated. Okay, the three great states. Safe. So in health and safety, we're definitely always focused on physical safety. But it's more than that, isn't it? It extends to mental safety, psychological safety, emotional safety, social safety. Right? We're part of teams. It's about creating that environment where people feel secure to speak up, to contribute ideas, to admit mistakes without fear, and raise health and safety concerns. And trust is a byproduct of feeling truly safe, and thanks for the trust. So in a mining environment, we know that conditions can change constantly, and they can change instantly. If workers don't feel psychologically, socially, mentally safe, they may not raise their hand to stop a job or even say anything. Imagine that. Significant. People need to know they matter not just as a worker, but as a human being. Our industry is all about people. And last time I checked, a person is a human being. We're all human beings. It's about recognizing the value that everybody brings to the team, their skills, their contributions. Think about a newly trained scoop operator, jumbo driller. If they don't feel like their role is essential to the team, how likely are they going to fully do their own work? In mining, every role matters. What we saw yesterday with Derek Daly, on his race team, every person matters. Everything they do matters. That guy's going down the track at over 200 miles an hour. Everything that team does matters. Building significance builds pride. Pride drives safety and performance. Situated. This is about clarity. And we heard that already. Thank you. Do our people clearly understand what's expected of them? Do they know their roles and responsibilities? Are they clear of the why behind the what we're asking them to do? And situated also means predictability in our systems, leadership behavior, and expectations. Think about a crew in a fast-moving development crew. If expectations aren't clear, leadership is unpredictable, you increase operational and safety risk. A situated worker understands the plan, the expectations, and they can safely adapt to new challenges. The impact of the three great states when safe, significant, and situated are present, people are unstoppable. That's why I asked you to think about when you were on a team or had a leader that truly inspired you. You're absolutely unstoppable. Energy is high, focus sharpens, commitment skyrockets. And it's not during the good times only. It's also when the bad times are there, what we say when the shit hits, or what Derek said yesterday, when we crash or hit the wall. And that happens to all of us, and that happens to all of our teams. Think about your crews or your teams during a very difficult event that they have to take on. I've been through many where we've had, main tramways that have been choked off from seismic events where the mine's down, or we have to shut down and do critical shaft work by design because we've, put mines in place for shafts the last 20 to 30 years, and we're running our mines over 100 years. And so from time to time, that has to happen. And when the shit hits, the teams knock it out of the park because we implement the three great states. Everybody feels safe to participate. They know exactly what they need to do. They know how their contributions are going to support that project. What happens when the three great states are missing? People hold back or hide. They slow down or shut down. Imagine Derek Daly, his goal that he shared with us was to hit that turn at 200 miles an hour, and he continually failed. And when he asked why he was failing, he was told to go ask somebody who could do it. And when he asked somebody that could do it, it was shared with him that first, you need to trust in your team. And secondly, you need to hang on to that accelerator until you start turning along the turn, right? So imagine if his engineer didn't feel comfortable or didn't feel safe to say, I don't think you can make that turn because the steering wheel is going to break. Or maybe the mechanic didn't feel comfortable saying, you can't go over 200 miles an hour because the brakes won't work. I don't know, these are examples. But it's basically his life on the line if those three great states are compromised. As leaders, we have full control over creating the three great states through simple and deliberate actions, setting clear expectations, showing genuine care for people, recognizing contributions, that a boy, that a girl, that a team. It's really not that difficult. And by doing that, we build safe, significant, and situated workplaces. Yesterday, Mike mentioned, and he showed the photo of Ontario and the Ontario mining industry. Does anybody remember what platform are we operating on? We're the best in where? Is it Sudbury? Is it Timmins? Is it Canada? Ontario mining industry is the best where? The best in the world. We're operating on the same platform that Derek Daly was. We're at Indy. We're at the Indy 500. That's the stage we're operating on in the Ontario mining industry. And so something else that he shared, and I apologize for those of you that weren't there, but it had an impact on me. Something that he shared was the whole starting grid and how it's organized at the Indy 500. So at the front of the grid, what were the characteristics of the teams at the front of the grid? And this is consistent always. They're the best, the fastest. Most prepared. Most aligned. The teams, he said, have all the same uniforms and they stand beside each other aligned. I can promise you those teams have the three great states implemented in those teams. How about at the back of the pack, the ones that are at the back of the grid? What were those characteristics? No sponsorship. Individuals working on their own. Saw a mechanic that was literally working on the engine right before the race. Anything else? Unprepared. So we're all working on that platform. And I think we're all at different places on that starting grid. Some of us are doing really well. Some of us are striving to do better. And I'd like to use that analogy to suggest that we say something in our industry. At the end of every shift, we want everyone to go home safe. And so when I was thinking about the starting grid analogy, I was thinking, okay, so I'm at the back of the pack. Yeah, we're getting people home safe most of the time, right? I don't really know if they're mentally or psychologically safe. Not my problem when it doesn't happen at work. I got my costs, got my production, getting my projects done. I think everyone strives to be better than that. At the front of the pack with the three great states, safe, significant, situated, I'd like to challenge us to suggest that rather than our employees getting home safe at the end of the day, what if they get home better? Thank you.
Thanks a lot for that. Lots to consider. And feeding off that, I mean, you can see like most of our presentation was heavily impacted with, a lot of discussions that happened yesterday, because it all funnels together, right? Like, I mean, Steve talked about it, how, man, there's such a correlation between the high-risk sport of, driving F1 and mining. It's every second counts, every production metric counts, but every person counts in an organization. So when we look at how we approach things and how we tackle each scenario when we implement our systems with organizations, we thought, everybody else is leaning on compliance. Everybody else is leaning on just meeting the check marks or expectations of government, right? And what happens is around the world, when you look at the safety stats and when you look at different organizations, you can have an organization that has an office in Canada, an office in the US, an office somewhere else, and their performance varies based on where they are because they're only operating based on the limits that the compliance threshold has set for them, right? So we thought it was a better idea to just lean into, what creates great leaders. And one of the questions that that I get asked all the time is, how many health and safety professionals do you have on your team? And I said, well, how many health and safety professionals do you have on your team? And usually there's an answer of like, well, we have a team of 5, we have a team of... Well, I said, how many employees do you have in your organization? It could be, 3, 4, 500. I said, well, you got 500 health and safety professionals, right? Just because you got one that's accountable to make sure that the programs are well maintained, it doesn't mean that you create a scenario where nobody has a voice. If you give everybody a voice in the organization, you've got 500 health and safety professionals helping you out with your journey. And that's what Mr. Daly was talking about yesterday. When everybody is aligned and cares about the cause and wants to be better, wants to collaborate to the team's success, and is proud of the uniform they're wearing and wants to drive it forward, that's when you unlock true performance, right? And that's what leads into like, what steps can we take to get there, right? And one of the things that we implement and we talk a lot about is a positive recognition program. And I will say it's quite controversial when I bring it up a lot of times because people are like, oh, we've went down that journey before. So I was like, oh, so every time you try something, you just quit, right? Like you got to try a different way. And one of the things that gets brought up is, well, it's too expensive because we got to give gift cards and we got to give that. And so, well, no, why does that have anything to do with the positive recognition program? Like, why does it have to cost anything, right? What about if we lean on the side of building confidence, right? If I don't have the confidence that my partner beside me or that the manager that's running the project or my department, if I don't have the confidence that they have my back and I can, that I've got their support, what's good is any of it, right? And one of the things that got brought up yesterday with Mike and Steve is, the fundamentals have always been there. Bringing it back to the basics. What are the most simple things that you can do every single day to improve your productivity and your team engagement? And I can't think of anything more simple than please and thank you, right? Like how many times do we hear, say please, say thank you, like as you grow up, say please, say thank you, it's the right thing to do, right? How simple and how effective. And we've seen it firsthand where, and then now there's statistics. We always got to throw stats because everybody's becoming a little bit of a data nerd now, right? We're looking at data, we're looking at trends, we're looking at percentiles and stuff like that and how does it impact. But think about it within yourself. How well do you perform every single day if the people that are around you are always saying, yeah, but you missed this, and oh, but you screwed up on that, and well, you should have done this. You go home completely dismantled, right? And then expect to just shake it off, come back tomorrow and try again, right? And then eventually, what happens? Turnover. I don't want to work with that team. They're always complaining, right? They're always pointing out my faults. And there's a difference with constructive criticism and bringing forward ways that we can improve. At the same time, there's also a difference in acknowledging what's going really well. So we talk a lot about that. Is one of those key things to giving that psychological safety is that positive reinforcement, right? Imagine you're raising your child to play hockey, or like now I've got some kids in jiu-jitsu and it's like, oh, but you could have done this and you could have done that, and you just completely tear down their game. Is that going to bring their A game? Or you can say, wow, that takedown or that pass you did that one time, that's being a team player, and it really set the team up for success to create that goal. It's no different in a work environment, right? And so that moment earlier that we talked about, think about the moment that you had the best team to work with and the greatest leaders that you've been exposed to, and how it impacted you. I hope that some of that came to, he always came, or she always came with a great attitude, always motivated the team to do more. We ended up accomplishing way more than we thought because we just kind of got together, collaborated, and really crushed it. We over-exceeded our goals. So one of the things that impacted me yesterday was, exactly what we were talking about with the lineup of the vehicles, is when you're looking at your organization, the question you really got to ask yourself is, what kind of vehicle are we? Right? It's the organization responsible to have the management team, the constructors, to build that strong vehicle that every operator wants, that can depend on it, right? That they know it's not going to fail on them when they're really pushing the limits. So if we really want to put all of our employees and all of our, everybody in the organization in that driver's seat every day, they need to be able to really depend on that vehicle wholeheartedly. So Mike did talk about it where, the pyramid with the CEO of, the entire organization is resting on the shoulders, and then it just keeps going from there. That's what we got to start talking and, thinking about a lot more, is we don't go into management positions, or we don't go into high dependability positions to do less work, right? We've actually stepped up to take on more work and to support everybody in play. And there was a share about that yesterday as well, as far as as you've got people working with you and you're delegating tasks and you're delegating stuff, you want to make sure that they've got everything they need to be successful, right? And wow, is confidence one of those key factors, right? So we talk a lot about that within our journey, and really wanted to expose that because it really does play into that safe environment. And it makes people feel very significant at the same time. You're kind of crushing two pillars in one stop there, right? It's like, thank you for reporting that hazard, right? So now they're reporting that their hazard happened, and you're reporting out that they did a great job doing so. And then it creates the behaviors you're looking for to keep that wheel moving forward, so that at the end of the day, you're probably going to get as many positive recognitions as you are hazard recognitions, because that's the culture we're creating. That's what we want people to do, right? So that being said, we do have some case studies, right, where we really saw it come into action. And a lot of organizations that we talk to are like, well, our people aren't necessarily educated enough to take on these things, or, well, our team culture is different here. True, right? But whether you decide that it's going to fail or succeed is entirely up to you, right? You're correct on both ends if that's the attitude you're going in with, right? But we've seen this happen now with organizations where when you take a look at those lines that cross-connect on the slide that's behind me, the beginning of it is with no real reporting accuracy, right? So that bottom line around like people being engaged into the reporting program, and how many people are responsible for bringing information forward, right? Because it was all word of mouth, and things are just kind of happening on the cuff, and the significance of incidents that were happening, right? Like we talked about yesterday, Mr. Daly brought it up yesterday, incidents will always happen, right? It's unavoidable, like they're always going to happen. How catastrophic those incidents are completely dependent on the controls and the mitigation plans you've put in place and the energy that's with the team, right? So that's a direct correlation, and it just kept on going this way. I know this one stops at 2023, but it just keeps going this way for this organization. And it's in direct correlation. So the more people kicked in and the more people started participating into the program and the more people started being vocal of what's happening live in the field every single day, the biggest the decline became of the incidents. So now we're dealing with bumps and scrapes and minimal first aid issues, or minimal disruptions to operations, or minimal damage to equipment, right? Because everybody's engaged to make sure that we're well tuned for performance, and then the more that engagement goes up, the more you're seeing that. So one easy, quick step to take to get that moving forward, and then there's several more, right? And then feel free to pitch in into this one as well. But defining the core values, like what is the rule book? Like what are the key things that we're going to live by to make sure that everybody's checked in into that? Like in the mock trial yesterday, we saw the exhibit with the golden rules, or the cardinal rules that they were to apply by. Well, if everybody kind of knows those a little bit, or has seen it at some point, it's going to be a little bit poor. But if we're talking about those things every single day, and we're reminded of them every single day, and this is just who we are, how we're ingrained, how we work, doesn't take too much longer after that this is exactly the engine that you're building for dependability.
It's not just about being able to rehearse the core values, right? It's actually about action. It's all about action. Worked for many employers before, and I couldn't tell you what their core values are. I'm part of teams now. Team Technica is one example that I love to play with Team Technica. RIT squared, respect, integrity, courage, honesty, humility. Why do I know those? Because everyone in the organization leads by those. They have demonstrable actions. And so that reinforces it for me, and that's why I know them so well. It's not because I memorized them.
Yeah, for sure. And then having actionable goals, right? What kind of impact do we want to have on our community? What kind of, what are we doing to develop people? What are we going to do to keep improving on our process to be better, right? Well, we always done it this way. Cool. So you're getting better at doing what you always done, right? Or you can start, turning the dial on that. And then, essentially it ends up having a huge impact on how you grow your business. And then how you can actually develop those things. There's training programs you can put in place. There's a lot of management conversations that need to be put in place to make sure everybody manages in the same aligned direction, so that in an organization you don't have one manager that's awesome, that's doing certain things, and another one that's a total and then now the team is starting to separate because of the inconsistencies at that level, right? So getting those alignment sessions with managers, supervisors, the joint health and safety team, the workforce, that continuous conversation, right, to make sure that everybody is marching in the right direction. And of course, there's all kinds of things that you can do as an organization to keep that sense of pride. Like whenever, I know for myself, every time that I felt really, really proud, such I am now with Sofvie, as far as what we do and what we're accomplishing and the impact that we're having, when I walk around in the community, I got no problems wearing a jacket. I got no problems talking about where I work. I got no problems in talking about what else we can do for the community or how we can interact better to support everybody. It really makes a big difference, right? And first and foremost, those youth programs and how you engage with the generation that's to come. It's okay to build an engine that is going to run awesome today, but if we don't build that path of who's going to come in to start maintaining it next, right? Well, now we're setting ourselves up for a couple of years from now where it just come tumbling down and we got to rebuild it all over again, right? So keeping that those moving parts, super critical in that process. Then that's the biggest thing. And then you notice here that something that's very important on this slide, and you didn't see on any other slide, compliance is never part of the conversation. That's just a natural default. Whenever you get asked for a report to see, hey, how are we doing with those things that we've been asked to do as an organization? Oh yeah, we're at 200%, we're at 230%, we're at 190%. I don't know. It's a non-issue, right? Because we've set our targets for ourselves to excel, to go way past that, to be the first cars in line, right? So when you look at different organizations to be part of, and you think about the car that they put you in, I'm sure you can recall in some organizations you've worked for, that car was missing a wheel most of the time, like it couldn't even take off. And then some of them were really, really well maintained and things were moving really well. So that being said, if there's a lot more questions in regard to that, and you want to learn more about how you can build that competitive edge for your organization to retain top talent, we've got a lot to talk about with that, and it's the area that we dove in the most to help support organizations as we go forward. And our work with Brivia is one of those examples where we're trying to tie in, and coincidentally our logos have the same colors and everything. But we work a lot together to see how we can build a success not only for ourselves but for everybody that interacts with us. Again, those QR codes lead into our LinkedIn pages, so feel free to scan those and to give a follow. We tend to put a lot of content, so I apologize for spamming your wall after you've added me as a friend, but it's all about sharing, right? I always talk about that with my kids. Sharing is caring. The more information that we're able to share with each other, the more informed we are as a group, and the more we can strive moving forward. Thank you. Thanks a lot, Burger. And then, as Mike talked to about yesterday, we do have an announcement today that I wanted to leave you with before lunch. We have, I came to Mike and he said, we're here, we're in Sudbury, built in Ontario. What can we do to support Ontario mining and beyond? How can we build a model that we can actually, spread the boundaries or push beyond what we can do in Ontario? And how can we collaborate in a way that would facilitate exactly what we just talked about, that's safe, situated, and significant. And the situated piece, so although like on our side, we do a lot of work on the safe and situated, and we spend a lot of effort there because it does take a lot of effort, right, to keep that moving forward. The situated piece, a lot of that is training. So we said, what can we do? I mean, we're not going to start reinventing the wheel here. Like, we need to work with each other and work together to really put together a good program so that organizations that are, contemplating making change and putting systems in place, that they also have the backup they need. So when we combine our great platform that you can learn more about at our booth, and the deep knowledge and expertise that exists with Workplace Safety North, we can create a really great foundation for excellence with every organization that we work with. So having said that, we built a partnership, and if you scan that QR code, it's going to lead you to our webpage that talks about it. But we built a subsidized program so that you can take advantage of these two courses in particular that we found was a massive need in the space. With the first line mining supervisor refresher course, oftentimes we go through our frontline Common Core process, and some of the courses are electives, and then we maybe took it 10, 15 years ago. We remember bits and pieces of it, we practice bits and pieces of it, but we forget 90% of it. So it's good to have that refresher in there to keep it fresh, but also keep reminding ourselves, what are we responsible for as a supervisor, and how do we do the best job we can, and that situated piece about knowing what you need to do. And we saw that yesterday with the mock trial, right? There was a lot of differences of opinion and a lot of different gaps in the information, and boy, like my spidey sense was going up because a lot of the information that would have been required would have been so easy to get through our platform. But at the same time is you can have all the greatest tools in the world to support you, but if you don't have the knowledge to use the tools and the information required to make the best of them, that's where it falls apart. So these two programs, first line supervisor refresher and a duly diligent supervisor, two programs that if you register on that page that you just scanned, we can work with you and build a subsidized program with your organization so you can take advantage of those courses as much as possible. And we're here to help and collaborate with you as much as we can, and to lean on the expertise of Workplace Safety North as much as we can to drive that next level future together. So looking forward to the engagement.
Okay, thank you, Gus and Chris. That's great stuff, and I think, again, embracing technology, getting tools into people's hands, getting them active in the workplace, collaboration, safe, sustainable. That's what it's all about. So great stuff coming out of Sofvie, and appreciate the presentation. Thank you. So it is now lunchtime. As you will see, there's a slight change. The food is not at the back of the room today. It is going to be out in the atrium. So we do have a good break. We want to be back in here at 12:55 for our next presenter, who will be hitting the stage at 1 o'clock. So enjoy lunch, and we'll talk to you soon. Good afternoon. I'll ask everybody to take their seats as we are ready to get started again. Hopefully everybody enjoyed the lunch break. You can make use of those Sofvie mints on your table again. They may come in handy. And I heard a great amount of collaboration and sharing and talking over lunch, and the networking is an important part of this two-day event. So great to hear it. We're ready to introduce our next speaker, and we have Marcia Nicholas with us today, and her presentation is on psychological health and safety. So Marcia is leading the development of a psychological health and safety policy at Agnico Eagle Mines Limited. Her role as a mental health and addictions consultant merges over 6 years of psychotherapy experience with a passion for workplace mental wellness. She has crafted educational materials and facilitated training that underscores her commitment to enhancing psychological resilience within the mining sector. So let's please welcome Marcia to the stage.
Thank you. So, as you can see, I'm the mental health and addictions consultant from Agnico Eagle, and I'm going to be talking about our psychological health and safety. So why is this important? So a psychological, healthy, and safe environment really is about, it's one that works with, I can't even really see that, sorry, so I'm going to be referencing up here, is one that works to prevent harm to employee psychological health and promotes psychological well-being. With employee mental wellness, really, or mental health being one of the most important issues facing employees today, Agnico Eagle has really prioritized its employees. A workplace with a positive approach to psychological health is better able to attract, retain, and improve engagement. And what's really kind of important to note as well is that recent research has really outlined that 70% of people feel their manager has more of an impact on their mental health more than their therapist or their doctor. So this adds additional pressures for people within the workplace, especially those within the leadership roles. With mental stress claims at 35% of short-term disability cases, we recognize the importance of having a psychologically safe work culture to promote safe and healthy discussions where the belief is that nobody should be punished or humiliated for speaking up. So this is really what we are doing. How can we reduce the stigma and have people really freely talking about mental health? So at the end of the day, we really can do this by creating an accepting culture and by putting the message out consistently and proactively that by constant support and reassurance. So there are many facets to doing this. But one of the key components is being really forthcoming and interactive and giving ownership to people who really kind of need that safe support and a safe space to be able to freely talk about these things. So really being constant monitoring of results and constant tweaking of approaches to ensure it's always fresh and current. Increase mental health awareness in the workplace, so doing the toolbox talks, safety shares, increase in training for personnel deemed to be in roles that have a higher likelihood of managing mental health, providing training, so mental health first aid, applied suicide intervention, empathetic and trauma-informed leadership is really crucial and important as well. So providing our people leaders with the skills to address any concerns so that they feel confident in their ability to really confront these challenging discussions, providing leadership the confidence to be vulnerable, share their own experiences as well. Because really, it's really important for our leadership to guide and model those types of behaviors as well so that the regular workforce can feel comfortable to do so as well. If leadership is encouraging employees to come forward, then they really need to kind of show that it's okay to do so. This is where the power of vulnerability really kind of comes into play. We are providing some education around substance use disorder as well. So this is our journey. So we have a substance use rehabilitation program, and what this really is if an individual is struggling with problematic substance use, they can come forward and we will help support them. We have taken steps to be more culturally inclusive as well, which is really important because what we found is we would provide the referral to our EAP provider. They receive a substance assessment by a substance abuse professional. Then we would get those results back with the recommendations, and perhaps we would have like a couple recommended treatment centers. But we weren't initially doing the homework behind that. So which treatment center would be best for that individual employee? So if this individual is, let's say, Indigenous, would a 12-step program be ideal for that individual if they're really immersed in their culture? Probably not. So we would have those discussions with those employees and see what would be best for them. So what else are we doing? Well, we've implemented a peer support program. And this is extremely important when it comes to employee wellness. So peer supporters are carefully selected. They are employees. And these employees are individuals who work amongst one another. They know the work, they know the challenges that can be involved in mining, especially those who work in remote mine sites. This is a valuable addition to traditional professional support services. A peer offers the unique insight as someone who may have lived experiences of either mental illness and recovery or knowledge of the difficulty within the workplace. So the various work pressures. Those of us who work obviously in the mining industry, there's pressures to perform, to produce, get those numbers out. So there's a lot at stake. So this support is geared towards anyone who may be experiencing these challenges in the workplace, relationships, or everyday stressors. This insight, having this program, really allows them to understand one another, support, and above all, model a sense of hope. So other benefits, really, it can help reduce the stigma and increase help-seeking behaviors within the workplace. Peers can clarify and champion your workplace well-being initiatives. So they can really get out there within the workforce and talk about what is happening. What do we have available to help support our employees? What does our EAP system look like? Some individuals are not really too sure on how to access those services. So a peer supporter is going to be really well advised on how to do so. Peers understand the work and the business because they also work there. And that's one of the key components, is being able to understand the unique work environment in addition to what is happening within the social side as well. So if someone has lived experience, whether it be addiction, struggles with various mental health challenges, and someone is coming to them with a very similar circumstance, they're better able to help and understand. Peers can be more available and approachable to talk to than a manager or a leader. So this is also really important. It can be really intimidating to go and speak to your superior about some challenges that you may be having. I'm going to turn it over to Dylan Laswell, who will share how his vision became a reality for our peer support program. So this is Dylan.
All right, hello everyone. Before I start, I'll thank everybody for having me here, the WSN and Agnico for giving me a platform to make the vision that I'm working on and the team is working on possible. It's been quite the journey, and I'm going to share a little bit of that with you. I am going to picture you all in your highlighter orange and yellows because for me, I'm used to going to toolbox talks and seeing you guys all in PPE, so that's how I'm going to picture you. The suits are a little bit intimidating for me. So like I said, my name is Dylan Loisel, and I've been a miner now for about 7 years. Got into mining with a family member who just happened to have a good in at the mine at the time. Worked in the TMA at the tailings management area for about 3 years. And once there was an opening for a haul truck operator with Agnico, I kind of switched over then when they were still DLM. I'd like to tell you that between that time from getting my hire in May of 2019, everything was rainbows and sunshines for me. But a little listener discretion, my story has a lot of addiction and suicide references. I am a suicide survivor, and I have a continuous sobriety date of 6 years coming up in August, so I've been clean and sober for 6 years. So for me, a program like this is near and dear to my heart. It's something that I saw was a need on site. So in 2019, I got sober. Fast forward to about a year later, I had figured that everything was making sense in my life. Now that I was sober, I was able to see that my life was the fog was lifting, as though we'd call it. But everything that I'd been anesthetizing and suppressing for 15 years of active addiction started to come to the surface. So in June of 2020, I had an incident on site where I tried to take my own life, and I ended up taking some brief time off, some short-term disability. Upon coming back to site, I realized that how many people are struggling with that in silence and nobody knows about. You know what I mean? Like, people come back, the return to work is, let's get you back on a haul truck, let's get you back to work. But there were some gaps that I had noticed, so I figured having a program like Dig Deep would be beneficial. So I came up with the logo, and I'll switch this, sorry. So I came up with the logo with my cousin, and kind of went from there. In June of 2021, I proposed the idea to the HR representative at the time. They got me in front of my first OLT meeting with all the leaders on site, and it's been a journey since then. Right now, we're sitting at 24 volunteers across 9 departments, and we're slowly engaging with the community at the mine to have more resources available, and that's the kind of stuff that I'm going to go over with you now. So. Dig Deep is a peer support program, so what we're doing is we're trying to uncover men and women's mental illness in the mining industry, as well as addictions and substance abuse. So what we do is we aim to be an ear for people to listen and kind of give them the guidance that they need. Like Marcia had mentioned, we're familiar with the EAP program. A lot of the times it's just intimidating for people who are getting help to get to those resources. Either HR is busy or whoever else is supposed to help us on site has full-time jobs as well. So we're just that ear to get them from point A to point B when they are struggling with whatever the challenges they may be struggling with. So what we need to do with a program like this is it needs to be built on trust. For a program like this where you have individuals coming up and being vulnerable with whatever it is that they may be discussing, we need to ensure that there is confidentiality and trust. So how we're doing that is we do this by carefully selecting our volunteers. So when we do put out an application or we do our recruitment blitzes, we call it, we go to all the morning PSIs and toolboxes to discuss that we are looking for people. Once people gives an application, we'll actually approach the managers to see, is this an individual that you feel fit for Dig Deep? Then it goes to the interview process. Once we have an interview process, we have carefully selected questions that we work with Marcia to make sure that we're ensuring all the best practices for the individuals that do come on board. And everybody is signing a confidentiality agreement. So it's just basically a standard NDA saying that if there's any self-harm that is disclosed to a volunteer during a peer-on-peer session, that voids the NDA and that needs to be discussed immediately. So self-harm, any drug use on site. So it's all policies that we're implementing to ensure that all of the people feel safe in coming forward to us. So ongoing opportunities for professional development and training. So currently, some of the things that we're doing is defying the peer support roles. So that's everywhere from procurement to doing group activities, whatever that might look like. There's tons of roles within Dig Deep. They actually approved us for one of those nice bus wraps. I'll show you an actual picture. This was the mock that was originally done, but I do have a slide where it shows the bus wrap that is going in circulation right now. So understanding responsibilities and ethics and peer support, motivational interview techniques, closing sessions effectively, mental health awareness, managing stress and anxiety, addressing depression and grief, crisis intervention, recognizing suicidal risks, emergency interventions, referral, service pathways, self-care, protection for caregivers. So we do know that the volunteers are taking a lot on by hearing stuff that people may be disclosing to them, so it is important that they are able to decompress and debrief. So we have active debrief sessions with the volunteers just to kind of see where their head is at, because some of the things that may be disclosed could be very heavy and affect them, not in the moment, but over time it could get to them. So one of the things that we're doing is called the Big Three. So all of the volunteers that join, it is mandatory that they are trained with ASSIST, which is the Applied Suicide Intervention Skills Training, mental health first aid, and peer support. Once you have that, what we've started doing is you can see the volunteers in the group have gold hard hats, much like the emergency response team at most sites is red. We have delegated a gold hard hat, and everybody who completes the Big Three, we do a ceremony with our mine manager, which is coming, it's going to be starting soon because we're still in the training process. And then we'll have like basically a ceremony to say that this is a person who is delegated at being a confidential and trusted person to disclose any stuff that you may be dealing with on a day-to-day basis. So how we're getting out there in the visibility, it's our presences at toolboxes. So we have a couple of different recruitment campaigns that we do, or blitzes, sorry. We have the onboarding one, so when people are coming onto site, we're getting there and showing them that we are here. This is what the Dig Deep program is. And then we'll do a recruitment blitz where we're actually asking people who want to join and canvas for volunteers, and then an update blitz that happens every couple of months to just ensure that we're getting ahead and showing the company what we're doing and what our next events could be. So various site activities. One of the ones that we just did is all of the contractors actually donated prizes for a fishing derby that we did, just so we're not doing that eat, sleep, repeat stuff that we do at a isolated mine. You know, it becomes very monotonous that you're doing the same thing. You get up, you go to work, you go to bed, you're away from your family and friends. I think they want us to leave whatever is happening at the gate, but we're all human beings. We know that it's not that easy to just shut off when stuff is going on at home. Stuff does happen, so we just want to be there for the individuals when it does happen to mitigate what that looks like. So what we're doing to reduce the stigma, we do realize that that is going to be a challenge. Stigma has been so prevalent for so many years, whether it's addiction, mental illness, even the lingo that we use surrounding those can be confused at times. So what we're trying to do is normalize the conversation. We do realize that with all the education that we're doing, the risk of exposure is there. So we want to ensure that we're always maintaining best practices. So we always consult with Marcia to ensure that all our volunteers are staying within their scope, what they understand, what they can't do, what they can do, and what they can't do as a peer supporter. So yeah, that's what we got for the Dig Deep program right now. If you have any questions for me, you can contact Marcia, and I'm more than willing to have those discussions with you. Like I said, it's an ongoing process, but it's something that we're extremely proud to showcase what the Detour site is doing. Management is extremely supportive of it, and I think that that's where it starts, is at management all the way down. You can see that the frontline workers are feeling that, that relief that it's okay to come forward and talk about the stuff that we're dealing with on a day-to-day basis. Thank you very much.
So I decided to take this mic so I can really come up here and see what I'm saying. So one thing that I just kind of want to mention, with Dylan's team, they've all received peer support training by a psychological professional who has provided them this formalized training. So all of the volunteers have received this training. So that is fantastic. So they have a thorough understanding of what their scope of practice really is and what they can and cannot do. So that's, I think that's huge, and we're really excited about that. So what else are we doing? So we've hired someone like me. So I'm a psychotherapist by trade, but I don't provide on-site psychotherapy. What I do is I can provide brief support services, but it's a lot of referral and system navigation, because as we all know, our medical care system is really overtaxed. And it can be really intimidating for those who are struggling and need support. So having someone like me who kind of understands it, I come from a clinical background, worked at Canadian Mental Health, worked in the hospital, worked at a detox center, so I get it. And it can be really, really difficult if someone is not really sure how to work that. So it can be really helpful. So like I said, a regulated healthcare professional provides I provide a lot of education, navigation and networking, provide support and guidance to the peer support program. So like Dylan said, we do a lot of collaboration. We work together to create documents to ensure that we're gathering stats, that we're kind of capturing the information that we need to in order to develop educational either material or trainings so we can help support our people. And really one thing that we're kind of focusing on right now as well is trauma-informed leadership. So I just kind of developed a little training that I'm going to be rolling out shortly as well. So what else are we doing? So the supervisor toolbox, so really upskilling our people leaders, that's key. They're dealing with a lot of the face-to-face interactions with the employees, so it's really, really important that we provide them with the necessary tools to help support people. And it's extremely important for our people leaders to feel confident and feel equipped to support a psychologically safe workplace. We understand that as part of the national standards, it's imperative to have leadership walk the talk and model that behavior and really kind of show their own vulnerability, because that really provides the permission for the everyday worker to be like, okay, if he or she is doing that, then it's okay for me to do so too. When leaders can own their own mistakes, this really helps create a safe space for others to do so as well. So we have the annual engagement surveys, so kind of seeing where we're really leading, where there's some areas where we could be falling a little short and doing a little better. So we kind of capture that information, take a look at that and see where are people satisfied, where could we, maybe step up our game a little bit. So really, what is the message to our workforce? Really creating a psychologically safe and healthy work environment. So this was just a couple shots from our mental health first aid workshop. So I like to get cakes when I do them in person. So I feel like we can celebrate that. So a place to safely share our story and feel heard, bringing awareness and opening up the room for discussions surrounding mental health is an effective way to really allow workers expand their knowledge base and an insight on the challenges that other people are living with. It supports a workplace culture that is free of judgment and empowers positive change. By learning ways to approach people who may be experiencing a decline in their mental well-being, we are encouraging everyone to have the conversation. In 2024, we have continued to deliver, now we're in 2025, so 2025 we have continued to deliver training to increase employee knowledge. We're expanding what our training looks like. So 2024, we did multiple mental health first aid trainings. We have trained some of our volunteers, our peer supporters, to be assist facilitators. We have 5 mental health first aid trainings planned for this year, and then, of course, several assist trainings. So our message is really clear. We are committed to supporting our employees. We continue to send this message by having leadership involved in various initiatives. And then I think that really kind of speaks volumes to the growing support we have at site and how our employee base is supporting one another. And then our ongoing agenda, so really continuing to offer services and support for our workers and families, ongoing training and development for our peer support volunteers, work to remove the stigma surrounding addictions and mental health, work to make Agnico a really safe place to work. And really ensuring people continue to have the understanding that not feeling okay really is okay. Yeah, so I think we're all pretty proud of what we've been doing and what we've accomplished, and we're all extremely proud of Dylan and his strength and courage to really come to light, and his vision has become a reality. Thank you.
Okay, yeah, thank you so much to Marcia and Dylan for sharing your company's experiences and your personal experiences. It's truly inspiring. I think Agnico Eagle's been on the leading edge of the mental health initiatives for many, many years in Ontario. So my hat's off to you. I think it's really important. And correct me if I'm wrong, I believe May is Mental Health Awareness Month, so it's good timing here. So that's fantastic stuff. We're going to move on to our next speaker, who is Dr. Katie Goggins, and her paper is